Ladies and gentlemen, booze and movies. Oh, Lady Science, just never know where she's gonna go. That's my Morty that's the best Morty I can do.
It wasn't bad.
And also we're podcasting in the middle of a giant thunderstorm, so we may just click off at random intervals.
Well, and what'll be great too is it won't save, so the whole thing will just be gone.
Oh, we'll just be shouting into the oblivion. As we always do.
So speaking of being in the oblivion, we decided we are going to talk about Star Wars, or at least what's kind of gone awry.
Yeah, it's like they want, I don't know. It seems like the last 3 Star Wars movies, like I maintain, the Force Awakens has its problems, but it's pretty decent.
It's put together. Right. It's put together at the very least. You can say it's put together.
It's also fun, and it recaptures that spirit of Star Wars being a children's fantasy franchise.
Yeah,
and that's kind of what we seem to forget, is that Star Wars is a children's fantasy franchise, and so they keep trying to make it darker, and so that grown men like us will feel comfortable paying money to go see it.
Yeah, and I kind of blame honestly I kind of blame the superhero movies, the new superhero movies that have been coming out, because if you noticed over the years they've been becoming darker, and those were kids,
especially the
heroes,
DCs, right?
Especially the DCs, man. DC loves being as dark.
Fuck Batman. Did you see that trailer yet?
No.
See, you gotta watch the Comicon trailers.
Oh, okay.
Well, it's Aquaman, Shazam.
I saw. Okay, I watched the Shazam trailer.
Oh, good. And then Teen Titans. It's not a fun anime anymore. It's a series, like a WB series now.
Oh.
Or what is it? CW?
I don't know.
The UPN still around? I don't know.
One of them
watched
cable places.
Yeah, I haven't had cable in 5-6 years now, and I love it. But it's like, it's every Teen Titan except for Cyborg, because he's a Justice League member now. And so it's the other 4, and it's like all. Do you remember the Max?
Yeah.
On MTV, it's kind of like that girl, like inside that girl's mind from the Max. Like it's all dark and goth and just depressing, and like the Crow. It's just that. And then Robin is beating up some thugs in a alley, and they're like, "Where's Batman?" He says, with blood on his face, like, "Fuck Batman." And it's like Teen Titans, right?
Yep.
That was the show, right? Because it was a cartoon for children, right?
And the band who did the intro song was a Japanese 2-girl band named Hi Hi Puffy Yami Yumi.
Right. Not to be confused with the 5, 6, 7, 8s from Kill Bill, but Hi Hi Puffy Yami Yumi show. They eventually spun that off.
Yeah,
right?
They got their own show, but it wasn't even really them. It was just 2 dumb cartoon characters done by the same animators as the Teen Titans one, because of that connection there.
Right.
Odd connection also, the Max, since you mentioned that, the same comic book publisher, and I believe the same creator, we can fact check this later, but they created one of my most favorite comic book characters turned video game person ever, Scud, the Disposable Assassin.
Oh, cool.
Who's really cool. He is a vending machine purchased robotic assassin.
That's awesome. Speaking of assassins, I was scrubbing through some Rick and Morty the other day, and I just love that guy. It's the one where like the overall episode is Morty wants to take control and save this kind of supernatural cloud's life.
And keep singing to him,
Yeah, I sing him to him like David Bowie. Or I don't know, or Jude Law, I guess would sound. But there's this great character, the assassin that's supposed to kill that cloud. Just like, hi there, Morty. I buy guns from your grandpa so I can kill people because I'm an assassin. I just love killing people, and women, children, the elderly, disabled, you name it, I'll kill them. It's just.
He's just happy about it.
He just, he goes to kill. He's like, oh boy, here I go killing again. It's just a great little, it's like how you would expect an assassin to act.
Exactly. He's like happy-go-lucky assassin. Yeah. This is exactly why I turned you on to Rick and Morty. I knew you'd enjoy it.
I've been baptized. I need to see season 3, I guess, because I got to find out how Rick breaks out of the Federation prison.
It's pretty fucking awesome. Just because of the writing, even like not the events. Just I love how they wrote it and the way Rick does it. Which you can take that home with you. When you leave.
I think I'll binge that starting tonight or tomorrow. But also like, just I don't know, the free spiritedness of it, but it's also very smartly written. Where Morty inhales some kind of weird cloud and then coughs up this globule thing that grows and has a complete life cycle while they're running away.
Dies while they're running from the interdimensional
And Rick's just like, don't think about it. Just keep running. And he's like, just shoot them, Morty. They're robots. And he shoots them like they're screaming and bleeding. And he's like, no, I meant it as metaphor. They're bureaucrats. I have no respect for them. Just keep shooting. Government and Grandpa, don't get along, Morty. I don't know. I'm getting into Rick and Morty stuff now.
I think it's because we're trying to avoid talking about Star Wars.
Oh, that's right. Star Wars.
Star Wars. Well, it's okay. From my standpoint. Stern pint. This is only my second beer. I should probably eat something. But no, to talk about my feelings on it. So I still love the original trilogy. I have it on VHS because it's the only unedited one I could find. Non-anamorphic, stretches to my screen and looks all goofy. The tape is all thrashed from being in a shed for 6 years. Doesn't matter. I freaking love it. Yeah. I have a VCR specifically so I can watch those still. And I like Force Awakens. I'm not going to say I love them, but I enjoyed Force Awakens. I enjoyed Last Jedi. But there are problems with each of those. And I really enjoyed Rogue One, but it did also have its problems. I think the thing that is bothering most people, or that maybe that's not correct, but the thing that bothers me that I think a lot of people use as a comparison is they're always comparing it to the original trilogy, which you can't. They're sequenced movies after the fact. Nothing will ever be as good. You cannot recapture the magic officially.
No, and because especially original Star Wars, because it wasn't planned. It didn't come out the way it was planned or scripted. It was completely created in editing. The whole half the entire beginning sequence, a few scenes in the middle are rearranged, and then the entire finale was created with stock footage, extra, ADR with the Death Star announcements and all that, and some special effects, and that's it.
Yeah.
And literally that's why they won Oscars, because they fabricated an ending out of cutting room floor stuff. When George Lucas wanted this more methodical, there's actually, in the original, there's 4 attempts to destroy the Death Star. Luke tries twice, fails once, and then succeeds. And it's just, but at the same time, the Death Star wasn't intending to destroy the Rebel base. It was just out there.
Yeah.
And it was a thing we need to destroy. There was no urgency or anything, and there was no, like, all of that can't be created, sometimes planned for. It was like literally 3 people in a room with a bunch of film. Like, what do we do?
Yeah.
And all of these, now that all these the Disney is involved, everything is planned out. And, well, let's go to this character. And what do you think about this character? What color should his hair be? Where should his background be? What, and all that, and everything has to be just planned out and meticulously, focus grouped. And so it's like the least common denominator. It's Star Wars movie. There's nothing controversial about it.
Yeah, it's like you're going, you open up Word for the first time and you go into templates and it's like resume, greeting card, menu, Star Wars script. It's just pre-made, an algorithm, outputs everything.
Elegant Star Wars script. Yeah.
Elegant Star Wars script. Oh, that's right.
Not contemporary Star Wars script. Elegant Star Wars script.
What?
No, that's so true.
Yeah. It's thrown together. Computers do it. I mean, I don't know if you've heard the rumor, but there's that rumor, not of Disney's head being frozen under Disneyland, but the rumor that Disney has a computer, an algorithm that they had paid to be programmed, that they just upload all their scripts that they have into it and they just tell it what people like currently, and it spits out the next one that they're supposed to make. And I believe that could be true. Disney is that evil and large. Even though I buy every fucking thing that Disney puts out, we'll talk about that.
Well, it's hard not to. They own everything. They just bought Fox, right? that was just approved within the last week.
I just mean look, Disney popped out Coco. I immediately went and saw Coco.
Yeah.
I was a Disney fan since I was a kid. So, and I will put on the caveat though, I love Disney. I do not like that Disney owns Star Wars.
Yeah. Well,
One of the facts of because
too much for them to manage, I think.
It is, and because Disney
and also
always
it's
has this like
unnecessary.
child appeal that they're trying to do.
Yeah, well, it's weird because, you know, I grew up in the 80s where you had R-rated movies like RoboCop that had action figures and toys behind it made for children who could not get in to see the movie.
Yeah, I had the RoboCop action car that you press the button on the top and sirens go off for a few seconds.
Yeah.
You roll it around. You know, I had it. I loved RoboCop action figures.
And the way, like, from my point of view, like they're trying to catch up with that, but they're also, it's like they won't leave my generation alone. Like when, you know, if it was a cartoon when we were kids, when I was a kid, now it's a PG-13 rated franchise.
Yeah.
Of action sci-fi shit. And,
PG if you're running high.
Right, but like Transformers is not, that's not appealing to kids. That's for me who grew up with that, and now I need an adult version of it to keep me interested in the franchise. Same thing with, you know, they tried G.I. Joe too, and I guess that's a little less, you know, famous than Transformers. I'm sure it's coming back soon.
I watched the G.I. Joe movie. It was basically an asylum film.
Oh no.
And I'm not exaggerating much. It was that bad. I would have rather watched Sharknado 3 than Transformers. Well, no, that one's true too, but G.I. Joe.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw that the fifth Transformers movie is already on Netflix, which means it sucks more than the other four, I guess.
Yeah, and considering I work in a room full of people where there's a majority of them who are like, I love Transformers, and I ask them why, because I'm honestly curious, because we've had that discussion before. Like, if a million people like it, then unfortunately, then a million people say it's good.
A million people are going to see these movies because they're the summer blockbuster movies. It doesn't mean they like it. They're just paying to see it.
That's true.
They're paying for 2 hours of their time to be spent indoors.
Three hours of their time. If it's going to be a Transformers movie, it's 3 hours long. The last one we watched was 2 hours and 58 minutes long.
Yeah, and see, that's why I couldn't bring myself to go see Infinity War over the last 3 months, because it said 2 hours 39 minutes. 2 hours, 39 minutes. I know it's good, but really only Scorsese can get me to sit in the theater for 3 hours and not get up.
Touche.
But,
But we were talking about how Star Wars is crafted now.
Yeah. Well, no, it's like South Park was right, because it's like how South Park pictured Family Guy was written, with the seals in the tank, or the manatee.
Manatees. Yep, and they
have
have
beach balls.
They have
ideas,
little balls with nouns and verbs.
Yeah. That's pretty much. And now they're like, oh, maybe we need to take a step back and not release 2 Star Wars movies every year for the rest of our lives. But it's all driven by the merchandising, because they figured out long ago that the toys that's the money.
That's the money maker.
Yeah.
You just need to make a movie so that the toys can come out.
Yeah,
and is no matter what people like to say, that really is the reason why Lucas made the other 3. Yeah. Because he was, if you think about it, that money was starting to go a little thin.
Right,
and to get it back in the box office.
But there's the toys, and then the culture that surrounds it. Like San Diego Comicon was last weekend, and that's like the Comic-Con, I guess, other than the Vegas Comic-Con, or there's other
the one on the East Coast. There's one in, I think it's the one in Florida that's huge.
San Diego,
New York Comic-Con.
Yeah, I don't know. San Diego is the one where secrets and teasers are revealed. And where you see the map from Lost that John Locke's going to discover in the next season, and you wonder what it's going to be, and it just doesn't mean anything. Because Lost is full of shit, or it turned out to be. But it's all this flurry of trailers, but it's also this culture of people who they have to participate, but it's all the cosplay stuff. I guess I would call it LARPing, with the people they got to dress up. And
they don't really act the characters, though. When people are cosplaying, they really are just kind of people walking around. From my Comic-Con experience,
they're just kind of in costume.
They're just kind of in costume, because Heather and I dressed up a couple of days, and in fact, if Comic-Con's rules here in our area hadn't become so goddamn ridiculous, we would have gone, because we were going to go as she was going to go as Pearl, and I was going to go as Brain Guy.
Oh yeah,
yeah. So like we had all the stuff like ready to like purchase and buy because we knew what we needed for the costumes and we knew how to make the rest to like embellish it and make it look the part. But yeah, the rules, especially after someone tried to murder the Green Ranger. I mean, everything is just
no lightsabers at Star Wars Comic-Con.
Literally nothing that looks like a weapon at all.
Yeah. Well, next time, if you need a Bobo, let me know.
Fuck, if you let me dress you up like Bobo, man, I'll take you to whatever Comic-Con.
Well, then you can pay for my ticket if that excites you that much.
Well, I'm just saying, like, if we're gonna like complete the set, have Pearl, Brain Guy, and Bobo, we'll fucking go, man.
Yeah, we gotta
get this shit did.
Yeah. I saw a friend of mine from high school went to San Diego Comic-Con dressed as a character from a sitcom, and I was like, "Oh, that's good. Don't follow the crowd. It's I don't even know. I don't watch sitcoms either. It's called The Good Place, and she went as some lady named Janet, who's a main character on that show, and that's fine. But then, like cosplay, it's like Pokemon, where it's like I've got to get everything authentic. I've got to get it all. I've got to have all the toys that are of my costume and all the action figures.
Yeah, it's mainly the.
And then I've got to go to Star Wars Land once a year to prove that I'm a Star Wars fan.
And that is true. I mean, unfortunately, I did see that from some Star Wars people at the Comic-Con I went to. Like, they were getting all the stuff that looked like them, and they were buying stuff to complete their costume. And I get it. But, I mean, like, Heather and I, like, we both have pretty good jobs. We make a decent wage. We don't have kids, so we're not paying for that. But even the costumes we went in were like, Goodwill.
Yeah.
Let's get the stuff we need.
Right. It wasn't mail ordered from China, prefabbed.
No, and like I didn't spend hours of my time on it. Like there's some of these people that they make it for decently cheap, but they make it themselves and it looks amazing. But I don't have those hours in my day.
Right.
I go looking enough like what I'm going to look like so that people understand what I am. Yeah. Like, hell, I'll do the easy costumes. Like I'll go as a foot soldier from Ninja Turtles or a foot ninja.
Black pajamas.
It's like I just need green fabric and make a ninja costume. Done. But Star Wars has become like that. Like you said, the merchandising, like it's become more of a consumable item than a viewable item. Yeah. As weird as that is.
And that's what, like with Rogue One, it was just all fan service and no story. It was, how can we get X-Wings to fly on the screen? How can we have a scene with walkers? How can we have a scene with the "You'll Be Dead" guy I wanted in 12 Systems, who just shows up? It's like we've got to put all these things in there that Star Wars fans will be familiar with so that they'll go see the movie. But they're not taking any risks like on story. Like the Rogue Squad should have been like the Inglourious Bastards of the Rebellion. Like, we just love killing Imperials. You find us an Imperial, we'll kill them. And like the worst of them should have been Jyn Erso. And she just wants to kill every stormtrooper and every guy in a gray jacket that she meets until she finds out that her father is responsible, because she thinks like maybe her father was killed by them. Then she finds out that her father is building the Death Star. And oh my God, she wants to murder her father just like every other Imperial. Like, wouldn't that have been some great drama and tension?
That would have been better than what it was. Like I mentioned, I like Rogue One, but yeah, that I do have to admit that would have been better.
Yeah.
Still needed the big space battle at the end.
Oh, of course, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine.
No, I'm saying as far as like if led up to that, I would help you make your side of it.
Ironically, the space battle at the end is the only thing really true to what we know of what happened in the opening crawl of Star Wars, where it says after the rebels have won their first victory, and during the battle they got the plans of the Death Star. Now they're trying to get them to the proper people to study them, and so the battle is fine. Even though I kind of thought like, okay, we have Rogue Squad goes in there to heist the Death Star plans, and everything's fine. Nobody knows what's going on. The Empire is just like doing Empire things, and they think nothing's wrong. And the rebels show up, and then they shut the shield down, and they can't transmit. And I thought, oh, that's going to fuck everything up, because now that they can't transmit the plans, and they can't, get off the planet.
Yeah.
But then everyone dies anyway. So.
I like that everyone died, though. I've had that discussion with you before that I'm a big fan of the movies where the hero loses. Like one of my favorites, as odd as it is, one of my favorites is Pitch Black. Because literally, at the end, like the main character, she's getting Vin Diesel up off the ground. And she's like, I will die for them, but I will not die for you. And then one of the flyers pulls her into the dark, and she's dead. And it's immediately after she says she will not die for him when she came back for him. And he just, like, it's kind of sad because in the dark, he's just yelling at the darkness. He's like, "Not for me, not for me." He's just like yelling into the dark, and he goes back and kind of sort of changes his ways and saves everybody. But that's what I thought was great about that film, and I loved that about Rogue One. I love that the heroes just kind of accept their fate. They're like, you know what, we came here, we did what we were trying to do. Here's a giant death beam explosion coming at us.
Yeah,
and they hug. Instead of kissing, because, I'm so glad that a lot of movies, have you noticed a lot of movies are moving away from the whole they need a romantic plot thing?
Yeah.
I'm happy with that.
I don't mind it.
Shit annoyed me from the 90s. Well, but there's movies that have been kept from being made because of that.
It's so unrealistic. Like, Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock should not hook up at the end of Speed.
Yeah.
Going through that does not create a romantic connection between the two. They should have
fucking hated each other.
And that's why I kind of like that at the beginning of Force Awakens, Han and Leia are separated because, obviously it wouldn't work out. Duh, he's a rogue. He's a scoundrel. He
even says that he's like, I just couldn't handle just being part of it. I wanted to go back and be a smuggler.
And then because of that, his son grew up and wants to rule the galaxy. But I'm glad you mentioned Pitch Black, because Pitch Black is a great, just ship in a bottle story. It's just it's a great, solid little sci-fi horror story. And that the franchise there's now a part of a franchise with the fucking Riddick shit all over. You and I went to see the third Riddick movie, I remember, and it was just like, why is any of this happening? Like, the Pitch Black was fine. It didn't need The Matrix didn't need a sequel. Pitch Black didn't need a sequel.
I liked Chronicles of Riddick, but not in the same way I like Pitch Black. I liked Chronicles of Riddick because it's just a weird, goofy action space movie.
Imagine like you watch Aliens, which is another self-contained story, which is hard sci-fi. They don't have warp drive or magic transporter beams or anything. And then Ridley goes home, and there's gods and demons ruling Earth. Like, that was as jarring as the transition from Pitch Black to Riddick for me. Like, what the fuck is going? Ghost Judi Dench is like, and then Colm Feore is this evil dude who I think the Eddie Redmayne also played that character in Jupiter Ascending. This is weird. I'm gonna take over your planet.
We watched Jupiter Ascending, and
I didn't. You mean we, as in you and your wife?
Yes, me and my wife, not me and my co-host.
Although it would be a good B movie night, technically.
Yeah, because they respond to royalty. In Jupiter Ascending, when the bees follow her because she's royalty.
Oh, you were making a bee joke. I said B movie night.
Oh, well, I thought that was your joke
because it was a crappy movie.
I
have not seen Jupiter Ascending.
Oh, she's standing out in a garden and all the bees start acting like wings for her. And they're like, bees respond to royalty. And I'm like, I went and I got my gun and I held it up against the side of my head for a while.
I don't know if I can watch, or if it's a believable premise that Mila Kunis is royalty.
See, the stupid thing is she's not even royalty.
Couldn't they get ScarJo? Or, I mean, I guess they couldn't afford, the Wachowskis couldn't afford ScarJo or I guess maybe even like a Mara sister.
I don't know if it's really an affordable thing as much as like a...
maybe they turned it down.
They don't fucking know what they're doing kind of a thing.
Rooney Mara's people politely said no. And Kate Mara politely declined. She'd rather do Fantastic Four.
Yeah. And Scarlett Johansson's people didn't even return the phone call.
Have you seen the Marvel movies? It's like printing money on screen.
Fuck you.
Just, see, I'm making it rain. You can't see it because it's a podcast. That's the sound of me making it rain with Marvel money.
So this is why we need to use
Hollywood back, coming back.
We should do the video podcast because then you can actually see you doing the.
Oh, that was fun.
People can see my shitty geek room with like shit in the corner.
The Breakfast Club poster next to the Goonies poster, and the glorious RoboCop 2 poster with the reflection in his forehead.
Right. I love it so much. I'm so that was an anniversary present.
Like, to me, that has to be like the teaser poster. Like, that would show up in theaters the winter before that summer it came out. And like,
yeah.
RoboCop's back, and what is that on his face?
What the hell is that thing? It's like a bigger, more RoboCop-ier RoboCop.
I'm gonna have to sit through 3/4 of the movie to see it, but it's gonna be so worth it because of all the intense violence and sarcasm and things that make that movie so memorable. I've already forgot we were supposed to be talking about Star Wars this time. Again, I've done this.
You know what? This one might end up being titled Everything But Star Wars.
Yeah.
Well, it's hard to talk about Star Wars and not get angry for me. Not because I'm sad with where the franchise has gone. I am acceptant of the way it's gone because I know kind of how the world with movies is. But I want it to slow down at least. Because if you throw a piece of trash at me, I can take a second to pick it up and put it in the trash can. But if you just keep chucking trash at me, I'm going to start getting buried. So that's what I feel like Disney's doing with the Star Wars movies. And they're not... I haven't seen Solo yet. You said you did.
Yeah.
One of my friends at work said he did, and he said it could have easily been better, but it wasn't as bad as he thought, which that's not a glowing recommendation, but it's better than what I thought it would come up to me as.
I do kind of like Rogue One better, but Solo, the best part about Solo is there's no Jedi stuff in it. Finally, there's not even any Force, mention of the Force. It's literally just humans in this.
It's just
story
the Star Wars universe again.
Heist, but again, it suffers from reshoot hell and rewriting and committee think in terms of the script in general because none of it makes sense. There's a character who sacrifices herself at the beginning because she thinks that they need to steal this stuff in order to live, right? And that they can't not steal this stuff to pay off their crime boss. But then after that happens and she dies, Woody Harrelson's just like, I'm just going to go talk to the crime boss and make it right. Like, oh, okay, maybe
that was an option.
Maybe your wife shouldn't have died. I don't know.
Is it like the Eagles?
Like that seems like maybe
it
it should have been at the end of the movie originally. Like they've gone through all this shit together, and she's just, I've got to sacrifice myself. But it's in the first 15 minutes, and it suffers from how in Batman versus Superman, where we treated to a scene of Batman not stealing the kryptonite. We're just like, oh, Batman stole the kryptonite. We know this because there's a batarang in the box with the kryptonite. Well, and also in Solo, we don't see how Solo endears himself to Woody Harrelson in the beginning.
He just does?
It's just, there's a battle, and it's like, we did good, kid. Now get at it. Now stop bothering me. It's okay, maybe. And it's like, oh, we're bringing you along because now you have a Wookiee best friend. Like, there's nothing that Han Solo did, like a cool pilot trick or shooting somebody first or anything, that does come later, but it's like nothing makes sense. Like, okay, we need you because our friend likes Wookiees and I guess we need a pilot.
When
I'm so excited to see how this turns out, William. The rest of this movie, like what the literal fuck am I watching?
If that was Chewie's first mission, would that make him a rookie Wookie?
That
was fucking stupid. I shouldn't have even said it.
That's awesome.
But
rhymes.
Star Wars, I don't know. It's become a little bit of an animal too, if you think about it, because all the people have no lasting power either. Like Harrison Ford, he went on to have an amazing career.
Yes.
And then Carrie Fisher went on to do a couple things. I'm not going to say anything bad about her career. And from what I heard, she actually didn't even really want to keep going all that much.
None of them did, really. I think it was kind of... Well, Mark Hamill didn't. But Harrison Ford did, because obviously he was in Indiana Jones the very next year.
Well, Mark Hamill did want to be in stuff, but he didn't want to be on screen. And not a lot of people know this, but Mark Hamill has an amazing voice acting career.
Well, yeah, he's the Joker.
He's the Joker. So Batman the Animated Series, who created the way Joker talks for every Joker that anyone does nowadays. No joke. We were at Comicon, and we met briefly the guy, because we were getting an autograph from him, but we met the guy who did the voice for the Joker in the Batman video games that recently came out. Mm-hmm. And, someone before us asked him where he got the inspiration. He said Mark Hamill. He's like, Mark Hamill's Joker. I was like, it's Mark Hamill set up the way Joker is done. He created the voice, and now he does a voice on a show I love called Regular Show. It's a kid's cartoon. It's really funny. He does a voice for a gorilla named Skips.
Oh, that's adorable. Well, yeah, of course, Joker. That Joker came out in the 1990s, right? So,
Yep, Batman the animated
who
series.
did he have to really? I mean, he had Cesar Romero and Jack Nicholson to really go off of. So he really had an opportunity to create his own.
Yeah, because
Joker.
those two Jokers are nothing like his Joker.
Yeah,
And his Joker was so good, everyone copies it. I mean,
Yes.
when you've created, because yes, DC created the character of the Joker, but he made everyone love the Joker.
well, like for 60 years or whatever, Joker existed in your mind, right? Or Joker's voice existed in your mind. Like everyone had their own take on probably what the Joker sounded like. And
I don't think he was even really that much in the early comics. I think when Batman
whenever.
I'm just saying, I think when Batman hit his fame, so even in the history of Batman, he was actually still relatively new.
Yeah. And I'm glad you mentioned, because Mark Hamill, I think the key to also like tying in Mark Hamill's attitude with what people thought Star Wars was going to be originally. There's an interview with Mark Hamill. I think he's on Letterman, the original Late Night with David Letterman, which was on like at midnight, 12:30 back in the day. And he's on pitching Return of the Jedi, and he's like relieved to be done with Star Wars. He's like, I'm going to do theater. I'm going to do some Broadway, maybe direct, maybe do Slipstream. I don't No, Slipstream is not on his mind at this point. It's 1983.
Slipstream is a beautiful film, though.
And he wants to go back to some real acting, the real small ball acting. He doesn't want to swing for the fences anymore. And Letterman asks him, like, well, aren't you going to do 7, 8, 9? Like, isn't George Lucas writing the second trilogy? And he just looks so disgusted with like, I don't care. George is going to do what he wants to do. He told me he's working on a movie called Howard the Duck that he thinks is going to be really big, and
big in its own right.
He's just like, if they ask me, I don't know if I'll do it. I really don't, And that's the thing is like, they thought Star Wars was done, that this was a period in our lives that is over with now, but it just kept creeping back, and then finally 1997 rolls around, and Lucas starts making the prequels.
Yeah,
and the prequels were a big deal for 7 years or so, and then it was all about cartoons and animated shows and the Clone Wars and the Rebels and
the Star Wars.
Like, what is going to be world? When is going to be world without a Star Wars?
I don't think ever. I think at this point it's gotten so big that it's ingrained into the next generation of children that by the time they reach our age, they're going to want another Star Wars. I think I think what we need to do for Star Wars, I think what would be great for it, is drop the Force and the Jedis altogether. Because I know that's an integral part of the first ones, but you have all these species. Every episode shows you all these different aliens that there is, right? Fuck humans. Go somewhere else. Have something happen involving this little planet of these little tiny blue guys with tentacles on their faces who are being, crushed by the Empire, and they have their own little rebellion. Like I want to see. I want to see the movies of the outlying stories of the rebellion against the Empire, because the Empire is so vast, and yet all we get is, oh, the Jedis are fighting the Empire. Oh, the Jedis are fighting the Empire again. Oh, the Jedis are fighting the Empire.
Yeah, or
we can go other places.
Only Jedis can use the Force. I know the Last Jedi is, because we have Force Mop Boy at the end, is going to set it up that the Force is now equal opportunity. You don't have to have family heritage to use it, or a keen mind, or even the M word in your bloodstream. It's just, you can use it to carry your mop around or reach a beer from the fridge now, I guess. And
well, if you think about it, though, that kid, because he works in such a septic environment, he may have accidentally got someone's metachlorians, like an infection.
Could have been,
yeah.
Like
a lot of people don't realize you can get a staph infection that is like 90% metachlorian.
Like a heroin baby.
Yeah, you just
oh god,
you're born with metachlorians because your dad was a weird, messed up Jedi who was just with your mom one night,
selling death sticks, and has to give a few handies in the back alley to make ends meet.
That's what we need, a Star Wars movie of all the Star Wars prostitutes.
Let's say it's not a good thing that everyone can use the Force, and the Force gets stretched so thin that a new evil arises that's like impervious to the Force. Like, makes the Force irrelevant.
Yeah, that would be awesome too.
It exists outside the boundaries of physics in this galaxy, that the Force, you can't mind trick it and you can't float it away,
Yeah.
some kind of species.
Or throw us for a new loop and show us like the Force doesn't need, like, it'd be great if they showed us the Force doesn't need a balance. Like, have an evil guy. He's not a Sith. He's not a Jedi. He doesn't give a shit about either. He's just kind of, do like a he's Attila the Hun kind of thing. He's just kind of going around destroying whatever's in his path.
Maybe. The whole balance with the Force, that's a prequel thing, and to me it kind of pisses me off because it treats the Force like something humans can control when it's really the other way around. The Force is kind of like
guiding the universe, yeah,
like Qi, the Eastern philosophy of Qi and the Tao and all that, and that maybe it is about balancing yourself, because the Jedi in the prequels are all about no emotions, no attachments, and none of that. When really that's an exaggerated version of like just clear your mind of your emotions in the moment so you can focus on fighting this Sith Lord or whatever you need to do, or moving this rock, or seeing the future. It doesn't mean you can't get married because you might be put in a compromising situation where you choose your wife over the galaxy.
Well, and it says that bullshit too of like we need to balance the Force, but it never explains exactly what balance of the Force is. Are we speaking of balance of mind? Are we thinking of balance of numbers? Like is there supposed to be one Jedi to one Sith always?
Is it mind to heart balance? Because
exactly.
The Sith, when the Emperor Palpatine starts to rationalize his old Force buddy, his old Sith Lord buddies, it's like, no, they're really just guys who kind of fight with their emotions, and they really just they knew how to use the Force for their personal gain, but it wasn't always for the good of the galaxy or something like that. But it wasn't like always dirty shit, It wasn't like murdering people and controlling people. That was just Palpatine.
Yeah, there might have been a guy who used the Force to just be really good at bingo.
Yeah, Darth Maul.
Yeah.
Who had again, problem with the prequel. Darth Maul was a toy. He was like, oh, look, get it. We can sell masks. We can sell robes. We can sell double-bladed lightsabers.
That's why he was in all black robes except for his face. No joke. It costs less to deco figures when there's less color on them, because that black plastic is actually the industrial standard. It looks like that. Yeah, it's the same reason. I mean, most people probably know this from the Toys That Made Us documentary that came out. But Snake Eyes, that's originally where he came from. He was all black because they didn't have to deco him, and he was super cheap to make.
G.I.
Joe. Get you doing on my fucking lawn? Oh man, we should just do a podcast about
Don't
just
give
those.
him the stick.
That should be the next one. Next one, people, we're gonna talk just about G.I. Joe. PSA Doubleverse.
The Fensler film, the classic, one of the original YouTube things.
Yep.
From way back when. But yeah, booze and movies. Oh, by the way, booze. I'm drinking.
We forgot to cover the booze.
Today, I'm drinking and almost done with my Kilt Lifter Scottish style ale, courtesy of the Four Peaks Brewing Company in nearby Tempe, Arizona.
And I broke the rules. I do not have anything local this time. Well, technically we didn't for the Star Trek one either, but I'm drinking a Kugel's Summer Shandy, which is a delicious lemon shandy. I actually really like it.
People love those shandies in their shanties.
Yeah, I have a sixer of this shandy in my shanty. It's currently a shanty because I'm bacheloring out for over a week.
Yes.
Which I don't operate well unmarried.
Well, that's probably a good thing.
Yeah.
You were meant to be together that way.
Either that or I'm really stressful on my wife and she's never told me. I guess we'll find out.
She's like on a beach. She's in Ireland right now, or wherever she is in the world.
She's
right now, and
she's for sure had 1 pint of Guinness a day since she left. Man. She's currently in Ireland, and she went all over Dublin today.
Yes. Oh, how nice. How is she holding up without you?
Apparently fine. She's getting 1 pint of Guinness a day, really good food, and getting to see Dublin while I'm sitting here working on a shit bike I got from Goodwill.
Oh, right. And a shitty podcast.
And it's not shitty.
That belongs on the shelf at Goodwill.
Ah.
Oh, well.
Here at Ship on Fire Entertainment, we bring you quality.
Literally, have we beaten Star Wars to death? Because the current thing is now you can't have an opinion about Star Wars because it's wrong if you don't like it.
Well, and it's just wrong in general, because if you do like it, people are going to tell you why you're wrong because you like it, and then if you don't like it, people are going to tell you why you're wrong because you don't like it. Yeah. I think for most people, it's become because you're just, no, it is fine. It's just, everyone seems to be, so everyone of our generation is just done. We're done with Star Wars. And everyone of the new generation just doesn't know what good movies are.
I think I heard a thing, there's a difference between moments and scenes. And I heard this in relation to Zack Snyder and Man of Steel, where he's like, he just wants he shoots the movie based around these 30-second to 90-second moments of, Superman, the knuckles, he puts his knuckles on the ground and he flies away. That's a moment, not a scene. There's nothing before and after that moment that connects it to the plot of the movie. It's just Superman flying away, looking cool. And the same thing with the "Do you bleed" moment in Bats versus Supes, where it's like they just want to have this confrontation where Superman wrecks Batman's car and then Batman doesn't back down, but Superman flies away anyway, and it's like that doesn't do anything for the plot of the movie. It's just a moment between Superman and Batman. I think that's what's happening in Star Wars too, where they want to have those Star Wars-y moments where Finn kicks Phasma in the face and so you were always scum and rebel scum. Like, that doesn't mean anything to me because I don't know who Phasma is and why she's evil and why does she have silver armor that's bulletproof? Why don't they make all the stormtroopers armor out of that silver armor that's blaster proof?
It's expensive, Steven. You don't do the budget.
It's just, I'm sure there's someone on Wikipedia who has some non-canon explanation about it's made out of this rare material that only she knew about. Adamantium, yes.
No, well, I didn't even. Well, you're talking about like writing the moments, like, and you mentioned Justice League earlier. Like this brought into my mind. Heather and I were watching Justice League because we had to eventually, but we waited till it came in via the flicks, and that whole movie was just a sequence of posters in motion.
Yeah,
there were so many shots over and over again that entire shot was just so they could pull a frame out of it and make a poster. I was surprised at how much better it was than I expected it to be. It wasn't as epic trash as Batman versus Superman, but it was just this stupid, like, oh, well, now we got to go over here and do this. And, oh, by the way, now we got to go over here and do this. And here's the bad guy. Let's punch him. Oh, he's dead.
Or a dumpster fire of music video shots like Suicide Squad was.
Yeah.
So that's why, and again, Wonder Woman was great because there's a story there. There's a character arc. Wonder Woman, Diana Prince, is this completely innocent, unknowing person that has power but no knowledge, and she goes into the world. And she's like, "I'm just going to stop the war. If you're fighting, I'm just going to stop the fighting." And she has to learn and grow and learn the complexities of human interaction and also intercontinental politics with World War I and all that BS. And like, she comes out of it jaded. And also sad because Steve apparently dies, even though we see him in clips of the next one. They've released a picture of Chris Pine is alive in the 80s, apparently.
Oh.
Steve Trevor was his name? I don't know. He has two first names, Steve Trevor. That's kind of weird. But there's something that, and it's a flashback story where it's like, why is she brooding in present day over this picture? There's something there. There's a there.
Yeah.
But with Suicide Squad, it's like, who's the main character? Is it Amanda, the main character? Is it Harley Quinn?
I don't know.
Does Harley Quinn have an arc? Does the Joker have it? Certainly the Joker is just sprinkled in for Jared Leto to have a job.
Yeah.
And look cool.
It's weird too because like it's how do you make a movie where you care about the character when it's a movie made of characters you don't care about?
Right, they're criminals. They're bad guys. Maybe I care about Will Smith and his daughter, but he's still a bad guy.
No, but because that felt so forced in. Like that's the cool thing about a villain is you want the villain to lose, right? That's why a villain is a villain. If you didn't want a villain to lose, then he'd be the fucking hero.
And the villain in this movie is just the worst villain out of all the villains.
Bureaucrats.
That too. Who is the suicide going to save? Their boss?
Yeah.
From her own bad decisions?
Yeah.
Okay, I guess good thing we had the Suicide Squad then.
Yeah.
Maybe we should just not had the Suicide Squad. Then they wouldn't have made bad decisions that they needed rescuing from.
Well, because if you think about it, it's like, okay, there's this enchantress creature that can appear at any time, go anywhere, and do basically anything. Oh, but we have its heart and we can kill it. Now let's save that in a box for later. No, you stab it to death the moment you know that's what works.
Also, she deserved to be possessed. She's a shitty archaeologist. Just goes breaking things that she finds. Like, oh, I'm gonna break open this doll. Dirt.
Yeah,
Now I'm
that's
possessed. Serves you right.
Well, sorry everyone, we didn't really talk about Star Wars at all, but you're probably all glad about that.
Yeah. Maybe everyone should stop talking about Star Wars, and maybe it'll go away for a while.
Maybe this is the proof. If you avoid Star Wars enough, it'll just...
Oh, hey, did you hear Carrie Fisher is going to be in episode 9 because of archive footage?